Hello students, in your last class we've completed our chapter Advanced Web Designing, and today we are going to start with our next chapter, that is Advanced JavaScript. We have studied some topics related to JavaScript in our 11th standard. Now in 12th standard we have to study few more topics in JavaScript. Before starting with the 12th standard, let us quickly recall the topics that we have studied in 11th standard. So why do we need JavaScript? We need JavaScript to make our pages dynamic. HTML creates static web pages. It does not allow us to interact with the web page. However, adding JavaScript will make the pages dynamic and we can interact with the web pages. Next, how do you add JavaScript in your web page? So for adding JavaScript to your web pages, you have to use script tag. HTML provides us with script tag. When we use script tag, inside the script tag, we can write our JavaScript code. Which attribute of script tag is used? For JavaScript, we use language or type attribute. Any of the attributes can be used to specify the language of the script that you are using. Where can we add script tag in HTML code? In HTML code, we can add our JavaScript either in head section or in body section, or we can add it in both the sections. So you just need to write the script tag depending on your section and execute your code. How do you declare a variable in JavaScript? In JavaScript, to declare a variable, we use var keyword, which are different types of operators in JavaScript. JavaScript provides us with many operators. Some of the operators are arithmetic operators, relational operators, logical operators, assignment operators, and increment-decrement operators. Arithmetic operators are plus, minus, multiply, divide, and modulus. Relational operators are greater than, less than, greater than equal to, less than equal to, not equal to, and equal. Logical operators are and, logical or, the pipe symbol, and logical not. Next, assignment operator is your equal to sign. The equal to sign is used for assignment. Increment plus operator is used as increment operator. Minus is used as your decrement operator. Next, which are different decision-making statements in JavaScript? In JavaScript, we have if statement, if-else statement, if-else-if statement. In your 11th standard, we have done various programs based on these statements. We have used variables, we have used all the operators. So, we have completed all this. Which are some built-in functions in JavaScript? JavaScript provides us with some built-in functions. What do you mean by built-in functions? Built-in functions are functions which are already present in the JavaScript and you are just going to execute them. So some of the functions are parseInt, parseFloat, alert, prompt, confirm. All these are your built-in functions. JavaScript also allows us to create your user-defined functions. So for creating your user-defined functions, you use function keyword. How are functions called in JavaScript? For calling the functions in JavaScript, you can either call them by the function name, that is name of the function followed by the round brackets, or you can use events to call the functions. So by calling using the function name or by events. Which are the different events? Now events, again, if you remember, they are categorized in different ways. Mouse driven, that is mouse events, and second is keyboard events. So your on mouse up, on mouse out, on mouse over, on click are mouse event. Then on key up and on key down are your keyboard events. So this is about your 11th standard, which we have completed. We have just revised the topics and now proceeding further to the 12th standard. There are a variety of scripting languages used to develop dynamic web pages. There are many scripting languages which are available. So which we have to choose is a question depending on your logic. JavaScript is an interpreted scripting language. Interpreted scripting language. An interpreted scripting language is a type of programming language that executes its instructions directly and freely without compiling machine language instructions in previous program. So, the JavaScript code and the machine language code, they are independent. They do not have any relation with each other, and this is what you mean by interpreted language. So a program is set of instructions used to produce various kind of outputs. This statement can be asked for your fill in the blanks, as dash is a set of instructions used to produce various kind of outputs. The answer is program. So programs are small codes which are written to get some purpose, some action done. JavaScript was initially created to make web pages alive. We know that HTML pages are static. They do not provide any interaction, and that is the reason why JavaScript was initially created, and that is what JavaScript is doing now also. The programs in this language are called as scripts. So again, this can also be asked for your fill in the blank. The small programs, the small JavaScript code that you are writing, they are known as your scripts. Now, we are going to see some features of JavaScript. It is light scripting language. It is not a very heavy scripting language. It is light, it is easy to learn, easy to execute, easy to understand. Then next point, no need of special software is required. We do not require any software for executing our JavaScript programs. We need a web browser and an text editor. You can use Notepad also as a text editor. So JavaScript, third point, JavaScript is object-oriented scripting language. In JavaScript, we can create objects, and our programs are written based on those objects. So that is why JavaScript is object-oriented scripting language. It supports event-based programming facility. In JavaScript, we can write events, and depending on the events, you can call different functions. Thus, it is an event-based programming. In your 11th standard, we have done various programs which were event-based. It is case-sensitive language. Case-sensitive. It is case-sensitive. It means uppercase and lowercase alphabets are different. They do not mean same. It helps us to perform input validation. Input validation means that whatever you are going to input, that is first checked. Only when it is correct, it is going to accept. For example, if I have a text box where I have to enter a telephone number, and if I enter only 8 numbers, so it will immediately tell me that the input that you have entered is wrong. You must enter 10 numbers. Also, many a times when you are filling some forms, you must have come across passwords are generally in this form. They want you to enter passwords in a specific form. It should be a mix of characters and numbers. If you do not do that, it is going to pop up a message that the password is incorrect. You should enter it according to the pattern. So this is what you mean by input validation. When you are entering the input, at that time it is checking that you are typing the correct thing. Next, it can handle date and time very efficiently. In JavaScript, we are allowed to create date and time objects, and that is why it is very easy to handle date and time. The syntax of JavaScript is similar to other programming languages. So there are many programming languages which have similar syntax, and that is why it is easy for programmers to understand, to code, and work accordingly. It allows to create new functions. Apart from inbuilt functions, users can create their own functions. You can create n number of functions in the programs. We have created functions also in our 11th standard. JavaScript is platform independent language. JavaScript is known as Universal Client-Side Scripting Language. Now this means that JavaScript is not affected by which browser you are using or what machine configuration is being used. It is working similar in all the different browsers. It is not getting affected by the browser that you are using. This is what it means by platform independent, and as it is supported in all the browsers, it is Universal Client-Side Scripting Language. This last point is also asked for your fill in the blanks true or false many a times. These are the features of your JavaScript. Now next we have types of scripting languages. Now this JavaScript scripting is divided into two parts: client-side scripting language and server-side scripting language. There are some differences between both of them. Let's just quickly go through the differences. First difference: script resides on client computer. Whatever scripts are related in client-side scripting, they are present on the client machine. Client machine is the local machine that we are using. So the script is also in our own computers only. Next, in server-side scripting, script resides in the web server. The script that we have is present in the web server. It is not present on the local machine. Okay, so this is a very major difference over here. Next, these type of scripts are placed inside HTML document. Like we have used client-side scripting. So we are placing the script inside the HTML document. So your HTML document will contain a script tag and you can write the script. In server-side scripting, scripts must be initiated by the client and then executed on the web server. Initiated by the client means a client should start it. For example, I have filled a form. When I click on the submit button, as a client, I am starting it, and the process related to the form is executed on the web server. So when I click on submit, I am starting that the script should execute, and the entire execution is completed on the web server, and finally we get the result on our own machine. Client-side scripting is used at front end. Front end means you can see the code. The code is visible to all the people, and that is why it is front end. Server-side scripting is used at the back end. It means that we cannot see the code. It is present on the server machine. It is hidden from the user. Now, as the code is hidden, that is the reason that server-side scripting is more secure. And then obviously, this client-side scripting is less secure. Okay, so next point. Client-side scripting does not need any server interaction since the script is residing on the local machine. So server interaction is not needed. There is no way that the server can interact and talk about anything. Okay, and whereas when we come to a server-side scripting, it is server-side script is processed and it is communicated with the server. So there the server plays a role. Server is going to execute and then return back the result. So you have to communicate to the server for server-side scripting. Next point. Client-side scripting involves languages such as HTML5, JavaScript, VBScript. So these are the different languages which can be used for client-side scripting. Next, programming languages such as PHP, ASP.NET, Ruby, Cold Fusion, Python, etc. are used for server-side scripting. So this question can be asked for your multiple choice, 3 correct options, 2 correct options, where you will be asked different server-side scripting languages are, and you have to choose the correct option. Next difference, it is generally for validation purpose and effectively minimizing the load of server. We've already discussed that whenever the code is submitted to the server, it is validated on the client machine. On the client machine, it checks that if you have given the correct format or not. If you are asked to enter an email ID, you have written @ or not. If it is asking a name, you have written the name, you've not written any numbers. All this kind of validation is done, and then only it is sent to the server. In a way, the server does not have to do any kind of validation. So the work of the server is also minimized. It is used in server-side scripting. It is useful in customizing the web pages and implements the dynamic changes in the websites. So there are major changes in the website, or if it wants to customize it, if it wants to change the web page, in that case, your your server-side scripting is used for those purposes. The last difference, client-side script require web browser as an interface. So for client-side script, when you are interacting, you need a browser as an interface, only then you all can work. And in server-side scripting, a special software is required to execute. We require a special software known as web servers so that you can execute your server-side script. Otherwise, the server-side scripts cannot execute. So these are the differences between different types of scripting. You can get different questions based on this. You can get question on features. Write any 4 features of JavaScript for 2 marks. Then you might write a short note on client-side scripting for 2 marks. Write a short note on server-side scripting, again 2 marks. Or you will get a question, state any 2 differences between client-side and server-side scripting for 2 marks. So any kind of questions can come in your 2 marks question and answers. I hope this is clear with you all. Features and the different types of scripting. Next topic is switch case statements. We have studied decision making statements in 11th standard. We have studied if else if. Apart from that, we have switch case also. Switch case provides us with various cases, and depending on the expression, it matches with one of the case. And whichever case is matched, it is going to execute statements which are written for that case. Otherwise, it will not execute the statements. Okay, so this is the syntax for switch. Syntax for switch is switch. Over here, S is small. Then you have round brackets. In between the round brackets, you have your expression. Expression which is going to be matched with the case values. Starting curly brackets. Case, very important. Case again, C is small. Case value 1. Whichever value you have, you will write it over here and then a colon. After that, statements block, break. Each and every case ends with a break statement. In JavaScript, we have one statement which is known as break statement. We'll see this statement also. Then next, case value 2, statements block, break. So on, you can write n number of cases, case value n, statements block n, break. The last case is generally the default case. Default colon statements block. For the last case, that is your default case or whichever is the last case, there is no need of writing the break statement. Okay, if you want, you can write it, but there is no need for writing this break statement over here. And finally, the closing curly brackets. Okay, so one more time. Switch in round brackets expression, curly brackets start, curly brackets close, in between the curly brackets case, value, colon. A very common mistake, we forget this colon and the entire code does not execute. So after the value, you must see that you put a colon over here. Statements block, break, again cases, you can write n number of cases, and finally the last case, which is the default case. So your case allows you to execute any one of the case which is going to match with the value. Before taking with the explanation of this, I would like to discuss a program based on this. So here this is a program wherein user is going to enter a number from 1 to 7. Depending on that number, user will get a message which day of week it is. For example, if user is entering 4, then it will get the message as it is Thursday. Okay, so just let's look at the program. Doc type HTML, head, title is switch case, close your head, close body section, H1, use of switch case, script language is JavaScript, then var day. We are declaring a variable by the name day. Day is equals to %, prompt, enter a day from 1 to 7. So prompt is used to take input from the user. Whatever value user is going to enter will be saved in the variable day. Then we start with switch. Switch day. S is small. The expression over here is given in round brackets. We can parallelly match with the syntax also. Switch expression day. So whatever value we have here, the same value will come over here. Okay. Case 1 colon. So my first value over here is 1. If user enters 1, then this case will execute. Alert, it is Monday, and break. Okay. Case 2. Alert, it is Tuesday, and break. This case will execute when user enters 2. Similarly, the remaining cases 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. If user enters 7, then alert, it is Sunday, and break. The last case is default case. When none of the values, none of the cases above match. In that case, the last case, that is your default case, will be executed. If user by mistake enters 9, in that case, default case will execute which says invalid input. If user enters a character, say C, so again it will display message as invalid. Then this is closing of the switch case. Curly brackets close, script closes, body closes, and HTML closes. Let's open this in our web browser. Opening this in the Chrome. So use of switch case. It is asking enter a day. We've written prompt. So here prompt enter a day. % is going to convert it into integer. I'm entering 5. And when I click OK, it is showing it is Friday and OK. Okay. So this is what is going to be executed. For example, now let's take one more time. I'm entering Y. And I click OK. When I click OK, it will say invalid input because 5 is not in the case values. So it is going to match the case and only that statement is going to execute. I hope this part is clear with you all. Now next part, what is the need of this break statement? To explain the need, I am going to delete all the breaks which are here. each and every case has a break statement. Only the case break statement is not used. I have deleted all the break statements. I will save this and I am going to execute this one more time. Okay. Now I am entering input as 3. So the output expected is, it is Wednesday. I am pressing OK. It is Wednesday. Okay. It is Thursday. Okay. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And invalid input also. So what does this mean? This means that if we do not write break, then all the cases which are written after the matching case will be executed. Okay, so the need for break is after you have matched the case, you break the switch and come out of it. So when it sees that it is getting a break, it comes directly to the end of your switch case. This is the need of break statement. Let's write the break statement back. So this is the use of break statement. If we do not write break statement, in that case, all the remaining cases will also be executed, which is not needed. Break is written to terminate your case, terminate your block, whichever block you are using. In this case, switch completely will be terminated and it will come to the last statement, that is the last closing bracket of switch. This is the use of your break statement. Okay, so coming back to our presentation. So JavaScript has multi-way decision statement known as switch. This switch statement is going to test on the expression against a list of values. So various values are given. It is going to match it according to that. When the match is found, a block of statements associated with that case is executed. Only and only that block will execute. It will not execute the remaining blocks. There should not be duplicity between the cases. You should not write case 1, case 1, case 1. You should have separate cases every time. So that is what it means, that no cases should be duplicated. The value of the cases must have similar data type as variable in switch. Now my variable over here in my example was a numeric data type, that is a number. That is why the case values are also a number. If I have some value as an alphabet, then these values must also be an alphabet. You have to take note that they should be of same data type. You cannot use different data types to match. The default case is not mandatory. The last case that you are writing at the end is not mandatory. It is an optional case. But it is always a good programming practice to write the default case. This is about your switch case, but before that, we would like to see one more example related to switch. So this is one more example related to switch. Okay. Now doc type HTML, HTML head, switch, close head, close body, H1 use of switch case, script language is JavaScript, where option. Now in this example, what is done is there is a question, multiple choice question given and there are options given. User has to answer depending on that and it is going to match with the answer. If it is correct, it will display correct result. If it is incorrect, it will display incorrect result. So where option is equals to prompt, 2 plus 2 is question mark. Then options are 4, 5, 6 and 7. Enter the answer. Switch option. Now this is my expression. So you can use any expressions over here. Case A. Now A, if you will see, is written in single quotes. Where we were using 1, 2, 3, 4, at that time single quotes was not needed. But when you are using some characters, at that time single quotes are needed. Case A. Alert, correct. So this is the correct answer. Break. Case B. Alert, incorrect. Break. Case C. Alert, incorrect. Break. Case D. Alert, incorrect. Break. And last case, default, alert, invalid input. Finally, closing of your curly brackets. Let's execute this in a browser. So here it is first asking me, because of the prompt, it is asking this. This is showing the prompt box. 2 plus 2 is question mark. Then it is showing the options and enter your answer. I am purposely going to enter over here C. Okay. It says incorrect. Let's execute this one more time. A. Okay. Correct. Now here we have 4. Invalid input. Okay. So this is about your switch cases. One particular case is executed at a time. Okay. So remember this, execute one example related to this, practice programs more. Okay. Thank you, students.